On a serious note, all audience members are reminded that these candidates have graciously accepted our invitation to this forum, and as such, we consider them to be our personal guests and ask that they be treated as such. And we thank you very much for respecting those wishes, and let's roll. Okay. By coin toss, Judge Valdez gets to go first for the opening statement. So, Judge, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank the Kiwanis for inviting us to this forum. I think it's important for the public to be aware of candidates, to be aware of what they bring to the table, what they have to offer. And again, I want to thank you for hosting this forum. I'm Judge Tano, Judge Valdez, and I've been a public servant for the past 33 years. I'm a product, to tell a little bit about myself, I'm a product of the west side of Laredo. Growing up, and you're familiar with Webb County or the city and Cantarranas neighborhood. Product, of course, very proud to say of LISD. I attended Farias Elementary School. I attended Christian Junior High, Morton High School. I also attended Laredo Junior College. I served 4 years in the United States Navy, having been honorably discharged. After being discharged from the Army, I ran for public office in 1982 for Justice of the Peace. I was Justice of the Peace for 24 years, handling numerous types of cases, handling different types of issues, mainly civil, criminal issues, and also focused a lot on juvenile issues, which I'm very proud to say that impacted a lot of lives, handling a lot of at-risk students. And you know, during my tenure as Justice of the Peace, we were able to develop a lot of programs emphasizing the attention to our juvenile issues. We started to develop the concept of prevention, intervention before detention. That's how, if you're familiar with the Youth Village, the original concept of the Youth Village. But I stayed 24 years as Justice of the Peace because I enjoyed impacting life. Working with families, working with at-risk students, having an at-risk student go to the court and have them eventually graduate from high school is something that I'm very passionate about. To tell you that I impacted a lot of lives along the way. Along the way, you know, I decided to impact lives in a broader sense. I ran for county judge. One of the emphasis, and I've been the county judge for the past 8 years. One of the reasons that I ran is because, like I mentioned, I wanted to impact lives in a broader sense. I also tell a little bit about myself. I'm married to Mary Valdez. I have a son and a daughter and 2 grandchildren. But going back to the county judge's seat, I ran for office because there were some issues going on in Webb County. There were some issues, problems that were affecting Webb County. Issues with at-will employees getting fired just because of political reasons. People in the colonias, in the rural areas, living without running water and electricity. The emphasis for me was to impact those lives in a broader sense, and that's why I decided to run for county judge.
One minute, Judge.
I focused on the issue of implementing civil service for job protection. I'm happy to say that we were the first ones were able to connect water and sewer lines to people living in the colonias. I went back, when I mentioned the issue of juvenile issues, very focused on developing the youth village, which we're about to complete. So these are things that I looked at that I wanted to initiate, and I'm happy to say that during my tenure as county judge, we've been able to accomplish these things that I had looked at. And I'm also now looking to the future to be able to develop major projects that we're in the process of either kicking off or in the middle of completing. So these are things that I've done throughout my tenure, 32 years in public office. I think my experience that I have has helped me along the way to be able to continue to provide the services to the taxpayers that they need and deserve. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tijerina, would you like to give your opening statement?
Absolutely. Hello, and I want to thank everyone for coming out today. Appreciate Kiwanis for this opportunity, especially during this time of elections. It's 2014, and it's definitely a time for change. And I want to thank you guys very much for having us here. I was born and raised right here in Webb County. I'm a product. I'm a product. I graduated in J.W. Nixon High School in 1992. I got green and gold running down these veins right here, baby. You know, I worked very hard to fund myself to go to college. I worked extremely hard. I used to be a bagger. I used to be a ranch. I used to lay fences all day for $50 a day. I used to be a security guard. And I used to work extremely hard to be the person that I always wanted to be, which is a professional baseball player. I got that opportunity, and I got drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers in 1993. And I just had an awesome time doing that. You know, people talk about the School of Hard Knocks. Trust me, I had a couple of them hit off of me. That's why I didn't play in the major leagues. That's why I played in the minor leagues. After baseball, though, I realized one thing. I realized that I had to go back to school and complete my degree. You know, just not just for myself, but for my family as well. You know, I had an opportunity when I was playing baseball. I had all these high schools come out and invite me to all these places to go talk to them. And one of the things that they talked about was staying off of drugs, staying in school, being the leaders for the future, being who we're going to be, what we're going to do for tomorrow. You know, but I felt like a hypocrite because I didn't have a college education. So that's why I decided to go back to school. And I'm a proud product of TAMU. I graduated in 2002 at 27 years old after being a professional baseball player. And now, as a small business owner and manager, I understand the meaning of balancing a budget, a checkbook, managing a payroll, and taking care of employees. To me, that's the most important thing. One important thing I've learned, we need to take care of business in order to have a business. As you businessmen know, you got to take care of it in order to have one. Everything we do in business affects families, affects employees, partners, and oneself, meaning the pocket, the moolah. You know, I've been truly blessed to be part of both local and national charitable boards. But the biggest and proudest accomplishments of my life is my family. I have 4 beautiful children. My oldest little girl last night hit a home run that I got to get a good chance to see. I'm very proud of her. I got 3 beautiful boys. But the apple of my eye, after 19 years, my one and only, Kimberly Tijerina. And maybe I don't get very many opportunities to talk in public about you. I just wanted to say, I thank you for being my right arm, my left arm, and I thank you for being my backbone. And I got no qualms about it because I love you right now. Thank you.
Going rotation here. The first question is going to go to Mr. Tijerina, and that is, please give us your definition of the position you're running for, county judge, including the duties and responsibilities.
We all know that the specific duties are outlined by the law. What do I think a county judge is? He's a CEO. He's a chief executive officer. A person who not only presides over the commissioner's court, but is willing to take responsibility for the operation of all county departments. A person who needs to make sure that concerns are addressed immediately, not to become problems and not become crisis mode. The county judge must be Webb County's greatest advocate, not just in a local level, but in a national level, in a state level, and an international level as well. County judge is a person who must keep business of Webb County on track and moving forward for a smart, sane, and business-like matter. County judge is one person who must speak for the people of Webb County, who don't, won't, and can't speak for themselves. Above all, the county judge must be the glue that holds the county government together. Someone who the county employees can depend on instead of the other way around. And lastly, the county judge should be an accurate reflection of the values and goodness of our community.
county judge's office, of course, is the office that really manages the county. And of course, let me just emphasize that the county is not a small business, it's a big business. And as the chief executive officer, one of the main obligations and responsibilities is to preside over the commission's court. One. Secondly, to be able to prepare a budget, which have been able to do for the past 8 years. And I'm happy to say that we operate under a $90 million budget, which again, I emphasize is big business, not small business. The issue also, the fact that we have over 28 elected officials, we have over 22 department heads, over 1,500 employees. As the chief executive officer, you need to make sure that the departments are staffed and budgeted to where they can operate properly. Of course, other duties and responsibilities. It's not only, I've always said that as an elected official and county judge, you also have to make sure that you preside over the commission's court, make sure that you balance the budget, make sure that you're able to communicate with elected and public officials, which is something that's also very important. To be able to manage the county, to be able to make sure that our road and bridges are taken care of, to make sure that our courts are staffed, to be able to make sure that that's the chief responsibility of the county. The courts, road and bridges, and of course the jail. So all these things that are components of the responsibility of the county judge. Of course, again, I go back to the fact that it's big business. And I'm happy to say that as a county judge, we've been able to work within the budget that we have. And I'll emphasize that, during tough economic times, and I go back to 2007, when we had tough issues, tough economic times, we were able to manage the budget. So it takes the leadership. It takes the ability to be able to know, the experience to be able to know how to manage. And that's probably one of the chief responsibilities of the county judge, and also to be involved in the community. And I'm happy to say that in my 32 years in public office, we've implemented a lot of programs that focus on at-risk kids and children, that focus on physically challenged children. So there's 4 components to being in public office and county judge: the administration of the county, the management of the commission's court, of course the community. I'm happy to say that I've been very involved in the community, raising money for scholarships, giving back to the community. So you're the chief executive officer, used to be the budget officer, now the budget falls on the county auditor. But to be able to manage, to be able to lead, and to be able to know, to be able to work with state and federal officials is also very important. I've been able to secure millions of dollars. And you remember the issue with Cuatro Vientos. We had lost the funding for Cuatro Vientos. We were able to go and lobby with Washington and also with the state to be able to secure the $32 million needed to be able to complete Cuatro Vientos. So that takes knowledge, it takes leadership, it takes experience to be able to get this done. To be able to work with state, federal officials, to be able to work with the community, to be able to work and relate with elected officials, and of course the commission's court. I've always said I'm one of 5 votes. My vote doesn't carry more than the commission's vote. But one thing that's very, very important, to be able to work with the commission and respect. That's one of the things that I always emphasize, that respect. Even though we don't agree, we respect the vote. So I think it's important to always emphasize that the county judge is the head of the county, and also that everything, unfortunately the crosshairs are always in your chest, but at the same time, if you have the knowledge and experience to be able to handle matters, things will come out ahead in a positive way.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, the next question is, what do you view are the most pressing issues facing the county, and how would you address them? And that question goes to you first, Judge.
Thank you. I think, I think the important thing that we have to look at is Webb County, the growth. With growth comes demands. I've always said that the county is, if you know about the county is the 6th largest in the state of Texas. It's a big county. It's 3,300 square miles of land. We border 3 Mexican states. And with this type of growth comes demands. Of course, I emphasize the fact that, the main obligation of the county is the bridges, the jail, and the courts. And of course, keeping up with the growth. Working within the budget. But again, I'm happy to say that we've always maintained work within the budget. We've never passed any shortfalls or deficits to the taxpayers. I think I've always emphasized that we work with what we have, and in the tough economic times, then we make sure that if there's any deficits or any issues, then the departments work with that. So I think that the issues facing the county with the growth and demands are something that we need to focus on and something that we're doing. Issues that we have out in the county, these are things also that we also need to look at. But again, the issue that we're faced with is comes with the growth and the demands. The courts are saturated with cases. The jail, we're looking at jail. We need to look at to make sure that we have overcrowding at the jail. So it's something that we're looking at also to develop that. But again, these are things we're faced with. I can tell you, when I first ran for office in 1982, the population was less than 100,000. Now we're over 250,000. So of course, again, I go back to with the growth comes demands. The schools. We have over 70,000 students in both school districts. So these are things that we need to look at to see how we can work with in developing programs to address issues with the schools. But again, things that we're looking at that we need to just continue to move forward. The county's stable. I'm happy to say that the tax rates remain the same since I've been in office. So these are things that are important. Challenges that we're facing, but again, we're addressing these challenges and we're moving forward.
Mr. Tijerina, the question was, what do you feel are the most pressing issues facing the county and how would you address them?
It's basically the same basic issues that were pressing the county 4 years ago. The only difference now is that we have some that are life-threatening and in crisis mode. We knew 4 years ago there was a problem with the fire and EMS. What would I have done differently? Because not only affects me personally, but all of Webb County. We need to merge once again with the city of Laredo to make sure the response time is prompt and fully equipped. I would not have spent the money and gone on our own. We needed proper communication and proper leadership. We knew 4 years ago there was a water issue. I brought this up in a debate 4 years ago. What would I have done differently? Knowing that Johnny Amaya had X amount of reprimands, I would have fired him on the spot and not allowed the political abuse to go on. We knew 4 years ago the CAA scandal was going on through election time. Most of y'all didn't know, but as a candidate, I knew. What would we have done differently? I would have never allowed this to happen. So today, more than ever, we need a leader in the county judge's office to make decisions that only benefits some, but benefits all.
Okay, and the next question, this is a question that was submitted by our membership. And the question is, how would you improve on the good things done at the county judge's office, commissioner's court level, and what are your plans to correct or reform the bad things that have cost the taxpayers money? And this question goes first to Mr. Tijerina.
The best thing about Webb County is their hard-working, faithful employees. Unfortunately, they do not receive the same support and guidance of our county judge's office. But the one pressing issue that still lingers, still remains, still is happening after 4 years is leadership. This leadership is responsible for the fire and EMS issue, the CAA scandal, lost grant monies, interlocal agreement failures, the electric assistance program, retirees insurance debacle, and of course, the very important water issue at Rio Bravo and El Cenizo. What am I going to do to help alleviate and prevent these issues from becoming problems and these problems eventually becoming crisis? Start by having my boots on the ground, walking every single day, being in contact and in communication. We're going to be proactive on issues before they become problems. Plan better. Be a county judge for the community. All the community. We'll be committed to public service, not self-service. And once again, I believe the lack of leadership in this county judge's office is the biggest problem we have.
Let me just respond very simply. Mr. Tijerina ran for office 4 years ago. My question to him is, what has he done since then till now? Which is really nothing. He brings up these issues of fire and EMS. I'm happy to say that this morning we did the groundbreaking for our first central fire station. And he mentions the fact that we're working out with the city. I can tell you that, if you remember, you go back 3 years ago, the city, when we were paying the city $800,000 for fire and EMS services, and of course the city came back and said, well, now we want $5 million. We could have said, yes, we'll give you the $5 million. But that would entail having to raise taxes. And certainly we were not going to be passing the issue to the taxpayers. We were forced to develop our own fire and EMS services. And I'm happy to say that within 30 days from that issue, we were able to develop fire and EMS services with volunteer firefighters. So again, this lack of knowledge, since he doesn't really know what happened, what transpired. It's easy to come here and say, we would have paid the city. I don't think we want to pay the city $5 million when we didn't have it. The issue of the CAA, he brings up the issue. This is an issue that I inherited, and I can tell you we're able to fix it. We read the papers. We just got funding back, funding through TDACA or CF services, which is the Comprehensive Energy Assistance Program. We're able to get funding back from the state, which shows that we're able to fix the problem. So I go back to, because of the experience, because of the knowledge, we're able to do that. So these are issues that we're confronted with, but we're issues that we're able to fix. We're in good standing with the state. We're in good standing with, of course, now with our own fire and EMS services. We're going to be able to provide satellite services to areas of Botines, Peñitas, and of course, again, you know, it takes that knowledge and leadership to be able to navigate, to be able to get these things done, which of course Mr. Tijerina does not have the experience. He's never been involved in county government. It's very easy to come up here and say, you know, this and that, but the main thing is he had that opportunity 4 years ago. He lost. Now he's coming in and saying these are the problems. The issue with the water. You know, I didn't see Mr. Tijerina take a pallet of water to the people that needed water to go around and so that's kind of the issue. We've been able to fix that. We're in good standing with TCEQ. We're providing clean water to the people that are around and we are providing, we've invested money to be able to fix the plant. You know, and we've hired a consulting firm to be able to evaluate the plant from top to bottom, to be able to make sure that people of Rio Bravo and Encinizo have the quality of water that they deserve. So again, these are things that we were confronted with, we were able to fix. And again, it takes the leadership and knowledge to be able to do that. Thank you.
Okay, and now we come to our closing statements. 4 minutes. Judge Valdez, you get to go first.
Thank you again. I want to thank you for inviting us. I know that's important for people to hear this, the information, to be able to know what goes on in the county. I've been very transparent the past 32 years. There's been issues. We've been able to, I use the word rectify a lot, but I think that's the proper word. We've been able to fix it. We've confronted the issues. We're not going to hide. We've taken care of the water issue with Rio Bravo and Encinizo. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to be able to work, to be able to make sure that issues with the water are taken care of. Issues with the fire and EMS, you know, we've been able to do that. Again, I just mentioned the fact that we've been just broke ground for these type of services. I've always said that we have over 40,000 people who live out in rural areas, and we have an obligation to be able to provide the services people who live in the inner city, or live in the city, have. We've been able to work within the budget. We've been able to provide the services. We've been able to work with our state and federal officials to be able to get the funding that we deserve here in Webb County. We will be announcing a major project with the state and the city and the county, which is the completion or the extension of expanding the Loop 20 to interstate standards. That's over a $300 million project that we're going to be working on. And if you see the construction going on in McPherson, that's the first phase of the overpasses that will connect 35 to 359, and eventually the I-69 corridor. So these are projects that we're working on. These are projects that it takes somebody with the experience and the knowledge and leadership to be able to get it done. I've always stayed positive, and I want to continue to stay positive. But it's important for the people to know that, I've been a public servant for the past 32 years. I've served my country for 4 years. I served the city as Justice of the Peace. Now I'm serving the county as the county judge. And all along the way, you have been able to impact lives. And I'll continue to do that. But again, the leadership, the experience is what's in the forefront of what I'm saying that needs to be done, or needs the county judge need to have, which again, my opponent does not. Thank you.
Mr. Tijerina, you have 4 minutes for closing statement.
Thank you again, Kiwanis, for this opportunity to generate an awareness, and just appreciate you guys being so close to the elections time. I think it's around that time that we start our first debate. It was something that was needed. My opponent and I agree on a couple of things. Experience should be the key factor of this decision. I'll reiterate that. Experience should be the key factor to your decision. But I want to remind you that it's not how much political experience you have, but what kind of real-world business experience you have. I believe I have the right kind of experience to serve as your next Webb County judge. Experience does matter. It really does. Experience in business, leadership experience in building consensus. My opponent and I also agree on transparency. It's very important. But we need to understand that there's a big difference between a county judge that's transparent and one whose leadership is invisible. Throughout this campaign, I've talked about these issues: public health, public safety, and public service. I've talked about the leader that I'm going to be. To me, public service isn't a career. It's a responsibility. It's time we have a county judge who knows the difference. I thank you guys. I humbly ask for your vote. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate you taking the time out to come and address this, our group. And members, will you please rise and give our members a thank you.